Hey, well, my name is Nathan Scott. I'm the Executive Director of MassEnergize, and you are here with us at the MassEnergize Community of Practice. It's nice to see one or two new faces. So this is a chance for you to share, to ask questions, to get to share thoughts with neighbors. What I'd really like to do is just make sure that if there's anybody who is either new or feels new or would like to introduce themselves, would love to have you just share where you're from and what brings you here.
Hi, Nathan. I could speak to that.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Mary Beth.
I'm Mary Beth Martello. I'm Sustainability Director for the town of Wellesley, and I have been to community of practice sessions in the past, but not for a little while. And we just recently joined up with Mass Energize through one of your new memberships. That includes the social media magic opportunity, and we're really excited about that. So excited to be here, and I want to apologize in advance that I do have to jump off early.
Well, Mary Beth, thank you. We're really excited to have Wellesley taking part, and we're really happy to have you here tonight. So thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
Anybody else who'd like to just say hello and introduce yourself? If not, that's okay. I mean, there's a few people who I'm less familiar with, but tonight really is going to be a chance to share, do some community sharing. We often, as you know, like to have invited speakers. We often like to do kind of what I think of as, professional development, bringing, different experts in the field or discussing current topics. And we thought it would be good at some of your suggestion that it'd be nice to just have a time to share. So tonight we don't have a formal agenda. We do have some announcements which we'd like to go through to start with, but really what we're hoping tonight is kind of a robust conversation about anything really that is of concern to you. And but also it's a chance to ask each other questions. It's a chance to reflect on things that are going on in your own communities. If you have plans for Earth Day that you would like to share, we'd love to hear them. But it's also a chance to, I think the times that we're living in, if anybody's reading the news, there's some pretty significant things going on that not just affect our economy, but are affecting our climate, affecting our communities. And I don't need to tell you what those are. But what we'd love to do is perhaps have some sharing about how are you responding in your communities? What are you hearing from your residents? How are you responding? How are you meeting this time, which is a very difficult time? So would love to hear from whoever would like to speak at the given time. So that's kind of what we have on top for you tonight. But any other topics are also welcome. So this is really a chance for communities to just ask, share, think, and reflect. So we do have some, before we get there, we do have a few announcements that we'd like to share. And so I'm going to turn it over to Joe before we get into kind of the discussion.
Hey everyone, evening. As many of you will know, we have our upcoming Climate Leaders Conference taking place nearly 4 weeks away, just under a month, on April 8th at Bentley University. Hopefully you've all got your tickets. If you're not, registration will be closing March 27th, I believe, or sooner if we sell out beforehand. So make sure you get your tickets. Megan and I have been working, hard behind the scenes to make a really great agenda for everybody. I don't know whether you've seen, we've got a new spotlight session happening just after our lunchtime keynote speaker, where we'll have Commissioner Elizabeth Mahoney and Larry Cretion, Executive Director from GECA, and they'll be taking about half an hour or so to share their perspectives on the 2026 climate bill. So that's a really interesting session that we're excited to have. We also appreciate anybody's help that we could have on the day. We have a volunteer sign-up sheet. I know some of you have helped us out in the past. So if you're able to come a bit early and help us set up, or stay a bit later and help us pack down, or if you're happy to steer people in the right direction for breakouts, we're happy for any and all help. So I'll pop the link in the chat in a minute if anybody's interested in signing up to help us with some volunteer spots. And then the other thing that I'd like to mention as well, relating to the conference, is that we will be running just one deep dive workshop, which is the Canva workshop, but we're opening it up. So we've now got two opportunities for you to be able to attend that. You can either attend after the conference on April 8th, and that will take place from about 5:30 to about 7:30 p.m. And that's free of charge. So if you're at the conference and you can stay later and want to attend that, please do. There is a registration link, and I'll pop that link in the chat as well. So that's one option, but I appreciate that's a very long day. So if you can't make that, we're also holding the Canva training session via Zoom the following day, April 9th. And that will also be an option. And there will be a fee for that one of $25 to attend that. So there's two options for that deep dive workshop on Canva training, which will be a really good session. We have a great trainer, and she'll teach you some really good, useful tips and tricks in Canva. And the idea is to bring your laptop along and be able to create some content and learn how to create content, do some videos as well. So it's a real sort of working session. So that's a great opportunity to extend the learning as well. So I think that's all my announcements for the conference. Nathan?
Okay, yeah. So, and just another word or two. I did put a link to that deeper dive, what we call a deep dive workshop, in the chat right now. So, if you do want to know a little bit more about it, we have for the last year or two, we've been thinking, is there enough interest to do kind of more in-depth workshops? As you know, the conference, we try to cover a lot. And sometimes we feel that in spreading ourselves thin, we're missing, a chance to really go deep. So this was our first attempt to kind of offer more deeper, like kind of a more in-depth workshop. And I don't know that we've publicized it quite as well, or whether participants were just like, yeah, we've given up one day for the conference, we can't give up another. But we did not really have a lot of robust registration for those workshops. So we've decided that the one that was of interest is the one that Joe talked about, kind of a Canva training. So we're trying once again to just see if there's a way that would make it more accessible to you. You meaning all of the, our communities, to see, do you want to stay longer, make it a long day, and do it in person at the workshop, at the conference itself? Or should we really think about offering kind of virtual trainings? I don't know if anybody, before we go on, if anybody just in general has any feedback for us about, if you were to take another workshop that's in more depth than you're getting at the conference, when and where would you want to do that? Would you want to do that in person? Would you want to do it the day after the conference? Would you want to do it at another time? Because it's too much, it's too much to take off that much time. So I'll I'll pause briefly just to see if anybody has any thoughts or responses, just in terms of we're trying to test the waters to see what kind of interest there might be in a deeper, more in-depth workshop than just the conference 50 minutes allows. Any thoughts or responses or feedback for us?
I know I remember looking at that email when it first came out, and I think for me, because I was already gonna have to take off work the day before for the conference, that was definitely a factor in whether or not I was gonna do a separate thing the day after, because that was gonna be a little bit harder. But I know I'm also not everybody.
Sure. No, but Marissa, thank you. I mean, any and all feedback is welcome because as we move forward, we're really we're trying to set up or provide opportunities that meet people's needs. And clearly, if we're offering something that doesn't work, that's not meeting your needs. So yeah, any other, we don't have to have a long conversation about it, but any other feedback? Yeah, Wendy.
I personally can't take the time off from work either. I'm already taking a day off to be there for the
Okay.
conference. So it would just have to be at another time or in the evening or something.
Sure. Okay. No, that sounds good. Anybody else? Karen?
Ditto.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so it sounds like it sounds like that was the main reason why there weren't signups is that people just didn't have that much time. So here's another question, and then we'll get on to kind of some more conversation. But what about virtual versus in person? We obviously feel that the conference absolutely needs to be in person, but how do you feel about taking a workshop? Is it just as good or more convenient and easy to do it online if you're getting trained in, Canva or something else? Or would you really like to have an in-person experience for some of these other workshops? Any thoughts or responses are totally welcome. Yeah, Wendy.
I think for Canva or some more
Did,
technology-based training, it's good to, it's fine to be by Zoom.
mhm.
But I think it depends on what the workshop is and how much interaction is needed between people. And
Sure,
so I think it just depends.
sure.
I mean, I think that's my view for technology stuff. It's actually better to do it via Zoom because you're sitting at your own laptop in a comfortable space. You can share screen. It's actually better.
Yeah, good, good, good. Okay, great. And I see some of you are putting some responses in the chat. So that's great. Thank you. Okay. Well, enough of kind of polling. This was our informal poll. But let's think a little bit about yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Karen.
No, I was just wondering with the Canva, um, are people not signing up for it or
We did get several signups, but not 15 or 20. We got like a half dozen. And so what we decided to do was rather than try to offer it the next day, we decided like, okay, that's not really enough to form a group and take the time. So we're offering it in this other format, either the evening of the conference or the next day virtually.
I guess I'm asking because I, I I get the feeling, at least from a couple of people here in Acton, that people like playing on Canva. So people have developed some skills just by kind of fooling around with Canva. Um, and I think for me, like if you could have Canva part two, which would be more like, like what kind of design elements really work? Because like I think people, some people already know how to like kind of put
Yeah, do the
something
basics.
together. Yeah.
Hmm. Sure, sure, sure. Okay, yeah, good, good, good feedback. Good feedback. Okay, well, so thank you. We're gonna go kind of return back to the kind of, the sharing of the evening. And really what I want to do is just start off by opening it up to anybody who'd like to share, to question, to just get us started. Hopefully you've come with either some ideas or you have some thoughts, reflections. It can be on any topic, but what's something that you're thinking about in your community? Let's start there, and it'd be nice to hear from several of you. Kind of what's active? What are you thinking about? What's going on in your community? What are the concerns that people have? Just let's start there and kind of see where the conversation leads. So I'm really looking and hoping for some people just to step up and share. So I'll stop and hand the mic over. Yes, Donald.
Sure. I'm from Littleton, and we've met at several conferences. Um, what interests me is, trying to find communities, municipal light plant communities, where they've actually had solar canopies uh, installed. And the argument I hear from my selectmen and so on is that the town can't do it because they'd be competing with the municipal light plant, and that's not allowed. So I often see the municipal light plant often as a barrier to doing things because of the structure. There's a separate board that has their own agenda, measures their employee success with a different standard versus the town. Now, there are some towns where the selectmen are also the board members for the light department. And I see some friction, such as in Ipswich, where there's someone from the light department who wants to break away from under the connection of the board of selectmen. And their argument is, well, the board of selectmen don't have time to get up to speed, and they're not terribly great as administrators of the light department. My take is my town's going through a charter review, and I would love to see the light department come under the selectmen and have everyone with similar objectives and similar motivation to solve things. So I start off with a certain installation that I like to see, solar panels over canopies over parking lots, which I haven't been able to do, and a lot of things we haven't been able to do. I think some of it is based upon you have these two organizations with different goals, and there are often not facilitators but barriers. So I open it up to that.
Great. Okay, Don, thank you. MLPs and how they, any thoughts for Don regarding?
I think you have Brad and Mary Beth are both MLPs. Did we lose Mary Beth?
Yeah. I see. Okay, yeah, Brad.
I hear you, Don. Is it Don or Donald?
Don's fine.
Don. So in Concord, our MLP is not able to do canopies. And the reasons are twofold. One is, like in Littleton, they're very cost conscious on investments, and canopies cost a lot more per kilowatt installed. So at our new middle school, where we intended to do canopies, rooftop, and some ground mount, they can only justify doing the latter two. And part of that is because we aren't, as an MLP communities, we do not have some of the financial incentives available to IOUs. And I bet Mary Beth understands that better. But there's things that we're not able to take advantage of. So there won't be ground mount here in Concord, even though we would love to see it.
Mary Beth, do you want to add anything?
Sure. Yeah, no, we're in the same situation. I mean, there's a a legal restriction that no one in town other than the MLP can sell electricity. And so that you can't have a town entity generating electricity and selling it back to the MLP. But I agree with was that Brad? That in our case too, it's the canopies being the most expensive. It's a cost prohibited situation with the canopies, and that's why our MLP is not in favor of those. However, there are that there are it's the legal thing about the only the town can sell electricity. That itself isn't a barrier to putting up a canopy. There's ways to arrange the generation and exchange of electricity between different parties in town, so that I don't think that there's a legal barrier, but there is a cost barrier for us as well on those ground mounted. And as Brad was saying, the incentives don't exist. The same incentives don't exist in the MLP towns that incentivize solar in the other towns. So I'm just repeating really what Brad said.
Sure. And yeah, I was thinking there, if you want to do something, lawyers are very good at finding ways of getting it done.
Yes.
And I've seen various towns. I mean, there are a lot of solar canopies, different places, universities, for-profits, nonprofits, all sorts of places. And that probably makes sense. And I've seen some places where they lease it to a company and or a town municipality will lease it to someone. Um, and I'm sure there are complications, but if people are motivated to make something happen, I would think it's possible. Um, so one of the things I was curious is, are there many MLPs with solar canopies? I mean, yeah, they must have tackled the problem and somehow overcome it.
Okay, well, I'll thank you. Good question. I'm going to pass it to Rob, and then Marissa, if you've got thoughts either to just, yeah, generally to add to this.
Okay, I just want to comment on this subject. Ashland's also interested in putting a solar canopy in with the Sustainability Committee, and we've been looking at, in particularly at a large parking lot from the MBTA in Ashland. It's a very large parking lot. It's most of the time it's not even full of cars, so it would be a perfect candidate. We've contacted our state reps to help us, make the right contacts, but everything has been kind of moving very, very slowly. We do have two solar companies that are interested in helping us. Our original plan was to do a community solar project. So maybe take some of the energy and go if it's going to be used locally, but then the rest of it, so we're going to distribute it to people that cannot have solar. So we're interested. We're part of Eversource. We don't have any MLP here, so we are interested and we're working on it.
So you're not an MLP.
No,
That yeah.
no.
Okay.
But I'm interested in what other people are finding out about cost and feasibility and what the trade-offs are and all those things.
Yeah, great.
Actually, for this particular subject, while I'm at it, I would love to see the questions answered that Karen placed in her email. I think those were I'm very interested in those answers. Instead of the general thing, what are we doing in town? I'm kind of interested in how we're moving forward in MassEnergize and in the communities.
Yep, sounds good. No, we are planning to get to those. So,
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, Marissa.
Like Franklin does not have an MLP, but I personally live in North Attleboro, which does, and I'm actually meeting or supposed to meet with some of our MLP board members later this week to try to discuss solar issues. So I am actually a little bit curious. Mary Beth, and you mentioned that the legal um the law preventing the town or like from selling to the MLP, is that like a state law? Is that something that is like a Wellesley specific thing? I guess
That
I want to know.
this comes up a lot, and we've actually asked our MLP to please send us the statute language, or and we actually haven't received it. But we know
Okay.
that this comes up, this is used a lot. That being said, we have installations in town that the MLP owns. So for example, they own solar on their own building and they own solar on our high school roof.
Mhm.
And we are working to install solar on two net zero ready schools. And those installations will be owned by the town and will feed the schools directly. They'll be behind the meter. And so there's different configurations that
Might be more
that
flexible.
work. Yeah.
Okay.
But on that is a great question. And we have asked the MLP that same question, but we don't have a clear answer.
Okay. And I might not get one either, but that's
Yeah.
fine.
If you do, I'd love to have the language.
I'll keep
Yeah.
that one in mind. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd think there must be a obvious statute, and it's reasonable going to town council or um, failing that AG's office. It's um,
Yes,
or
that's true.
Mass Door or something. There's someone involved with it because I was thinking there's no reason why the MLP group could not own it outright and the town lease the lot or something.
Mhm.
But I know and there are complications. There's no question about the complications of people outside of MLP having solar and the energy flow and protection and all that. But I know even for the town when they put up a library with solar panels, they were limited in how many they could put up. And there there seems to be barriers. There must be a way to break through that. And yeah, it may be different ownership, different management, but you'd think if the MLP can control the flow of electricity somehow, they might be more interested in doing that. But they don't seem to have any motivation or any interest in that. And they just as soon put it in the back burner and ignore it. So being on a sustainability committee where we're trying to encourage that's frustrating, especially when you go all around and see various towns with all sorts of solar canopies up. You see the universities with it up. You see Raytheon with it. You see museums like Discovery Museum. It's something that needs to be broken through, and maybe you know MassEnergize could actually go and get some legal ruling on that and understand it. Maybe that's a project worth working on to see how we can promote it. And it's going to come up more and more. I mean, it's something to get through.
In Wellesley, I think the big barrier in, having it go up in commercial spaces and like that and things and places like that is really the incentives. We have no commercial incentives in Wellesley, and we're pushing our MLP to offer those incentives. They offer a residential incentive right now that's actually quite good, but not for commercial. And I think that's a big barrier.
Okay.
Right. So currently,
So Don, actually, just Don, if you can hang on, just there's another person who's got something to share. So I'm going to call on Ellen, and then we can keep the conversation going.
And I think we might want to shift soon to some other stuff just to get other topics. So I'm not in an MLP community. Wayland's done a lot of solar canopies, and we've done them all with PPAs. We never pay for anything because we could never fund. I could never fund it out of a municipal budget. So, Rob, I think that's the way to go. We've done 6 now, big solar projects with a combination of Select and Amoresco. I'm making $160K a year plus the pilot, the payment in lieu of taxes. So, MLPs are a unique situation. So, Mary Beth, you've looked at this more than I have. So I don't know how that works, how third-party ownership PPAs, because they're obviously, sending back to the grid and we're getting net metering credits. But I don't know how PPAs work if you're not involving a grid. So for you, Rob, that's an easier way to go because it's a pretty easy sell at the town level, and there's a pretty good marketplace for this. And if you're a member of Power Options, you can use their preferred vendor without having to do a procurement. And you are probably a member of Power Options as a municipality. So I'm happy to talk about that offline because it gets not everybody's interested in this topic, but maybe there's some, Mary Beth and Brad, maybe there's some convening that can be done of like sustainability managers, Mary Beth, and energy committees in MLPs to say, come on, we're all, what can we do? You might be able to get, there's some law firms that kind of specialize in some of this stuff. Maybe they do a little pro bono looking at this for us. I could think of who I would turn to. So, it's just a question of whether there's enough of an interest in that. But Mary Beth, of all the people on here, you're probably the best positioned because you're actually this sustainability manager, not just an energy committee. So I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen what you've done in Wayland, and in fact, I probably talked to you while we looked at, and I was trying to promote that, but there was also mention, in our situation, we cannot lease something out, and I find all these rigid answers as not being, does not sound like they would hold water. It's if one wants to accomplish something, usually there are ways to doing that. And maybe in our case with MLP, maybe they do own it and they have more control over it, and that'd be fine. Currently, we have 50 acres being redeveloped that used to be a large facility for Digital Equipment Corporation, went through a lot of changes. IBM, they left, and we have organization coming through. Lupoli developers, one of them, but they've done a lot of geothermal in the ground stuff with Mills and Lawrence and Lowell, and they've also done rooftop gardens. And so hoping we can get them to do it, but it's a private project, and there's only so much uh, influence we can do. And so, yeah, I'm looking for solutions. Things have been in place, and yeah, it may be good for the reputation. They obviously thought it was cost effective in the long term for their other properties, which are rigid mills, but here they have completely flat ground new development. So, it seems like it'd be a good place to install some of this.
Okay, well, thank you. So Don, yeah, we're not going to spend the whole evening talking about this, but thank you for getting us started. And later on in the course of the conversation, if we want to return to this, we might even form a breakout group. Looking at kind of how the constraints of communities with MLPs and how that affects different clean energy options. But that's great. Thank you. So I think what we're going to do is go on now to kind of some other set of topics. And Karen, I'm gonna just mention that you brought up some interesting topics and put them in an email. It sounds like other people have had a chance to reflect on some of the topics. So I'd love for you, Karen, to kind of share some of what you have been thinking and what questions you would like to pose to this group, and then let's get a conversation going around some of those things, some of the areas that this was that you had brought up.
Um, I should have reread my emails. But I know one of the things I was thinking about was there's a lot of stuff related to like what's engaging people and what's not engaging people. And but maybe first to just talk about sort of the view from the communities, or at least from Energize Act. So you know, we have a new member who's been a part of the group for about a year, and he asks really good questions like, what's the relationship between Energize Acton and the Sustainability Office? And, why are things this way? And I think one of the things that we stressed when he first started asking questions, and all of his questions have been really welcome, but is that, what's unique about Energize is really developing relationships at the local level. Like peer sharing, like, people seeing technology that a neighbor has done. Like little climate cafes that don't necessarily bring in experts, but again are sort of like neighbors with knowledge sharing with other folks who are interested. And then the question was, well, as we transition to a new web platform, and I totally understand why we're doing this. And I want to say to Arija and all the people who've been working on the web transition, I know you guys haven't slept in 4 months. So I really appreciate everything you're going through. But I think from our perspective, it's kind of like asking, so who are we now? Are we are we basically a website that's going to share information? And what makes us different from other websites? And should we just have one big central website and not have all the little community websites? And I wouldn't go for that option, because I still feel as though, even though we don't have some of the elements of the custom website, I still feel as though building these local relationships really, really matter. I think they matter for people adopting clean energy. I think they matter for people becoming aware of nature-based solutions. And I think those relationships really matter for building resilience. So I guess I kind of like wonder, what are the rest of you thinking? Like, how do we do this where we're still really building community and building a sense of like connection within town? And I'll just say one other thing. I mean, I could go on about like all the stuff that doesn't seem to be working in terms of like outreach and climate hushing. And one cool event that did get engagement, I could go on about that. But Yeah, I guess I just wonder, like, who are we right now? And that's just apart from the big picture. We probably should really talk about the big picture. Okay, I've talked too much. I'm stopping.
No, that's fine. No, that's fine. Yeah, so I'd love to hear thoughts and responses to Karen's question. Marissa.
I guess my question was I was curious about if you felt like you'd seen a difference in interaction with the new site. Because I mean, like, I'm assuming if you might still have like climate cafes, right? Like, surely, like, we can still like advertise events. We don't do a ton of individual events, or we haven't gotten to the point where we are doing a ton of those, though we are gearing up for tabling this summer for Energize Franklin. So I guess I'm kind of curious if you, like you guys in Acton, have like seen a difference in that, or if it just the con because I know that we always struggled. I mean, and I part of the ask this summer is still going to be trying to get people to like give testimonials, but like, we and to like have that engagement with the site. I don't know if I see the new site as like a super big difference on that level, but we also, I think, are maybe slightly less established than Acton.
You know what? I'm really glad that you mentioned testimonials because um, we've always had a really hard time getting people to share testimonials. But I think maybe that could be the real digital fulcrum in the future is for people to be able to, to really encourage that. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, in terms of engagement with a new site, we haven't actually transitioned yet, so I can't say it's made a difference. I mean, we had a couple months like um, December, January, where engagement with a website was really low, which could be for lots of different reasons. Um, and then last month the engagement was a lot higher. So, I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe, and Arika had mentioned this before too, that people, a lot of people weren't using the to-do done. They weren't
Mm.
looking at the carbon savings part that much. So, maybe I'm just over, I'm worrying too much.
No, I mean, I think these are good questions. I just wasn't sure if you guys had like seen a difference in like people attending like a climate cafe or like a discussion like that. Because I don't have a point of as for Energize Franklin, since we haven't done like events like that, I don't have a point of comparison for it.
It's funny. I think the main point of comparison for us is something that happens through our sustainability office, which is our coach program. And coach requests have gone way down.
Mm.
Mm.
And so, I mean, that is to me definitely a sign of the times, um, and something to think about. On the other hand, we had a clean energy home tour last weekend on one of our coaches had installed solar shingles. And it was the best clean. I mean, when you do one house a month, you don't get I mean, in Concord, you guys get hundreds of people, but we usually get like 12 or 15. But we got like we had 34 people come to that clean energy home tour. So people are still really interested in, I mean, maybe because it's new tech, but that was one point of engagement.
Mhm, mhm. Rob, I see you have got your hand up.
Well, okay, so Ashland's problem is that at this particular point, we are really pretty small as a group at this particular time. So I think we're lacking at this time the engagement and the outreach, which is going to be is a problem for us, you know. So we're really wondering now with the website, we're putting a lot of energy in a newsletter at this particular time. I think the newsletter is popular and people we advertising things from other towns also, you know, what's going on around. And we're wondering what's really the website doing now at this particular point. You know, we don't collect all that information and then do the reporting out anymore. So we still have the actions, and the actions have information, you know, what you can possibly do. I'm not sure it's the right format as it is, but and that same information is clearly available from other organizations. You know, you can get that from other places as well. So why do we use the website? The website is maybe because we can't put really a very large descriptions or things in the newsletter. We refer people back to the website, so that's how we get some interaction from with the website. I think that's useful. I think the other useful thing from Energize Ashland is the events that we post on the website. We get the nudges. I think that's a useful feature. I think people get to be aware of what's going on all the time because we were so short. We haven't even put an awful lot of good events on our website. So we're a little limited in our manpower at this particular point. But so. So we've all been thinking about how useful is the website per se, and could we do this in a different way? But we haven't really come up with any other solution. So I guess we're going to continue the way we're going for now.
Okay. Well, looks like Ellen Sachs-Leiker, you've got how are you feeling in Harvard about the transition? You're muted, Ellen.
I never do this right. So we have a unique setup because we have our own website that was designed, and then Brad Shirley's been involved with this, and then in our own website it takes us to the MassEnergize pages, and I'm seeing that no one's going there, and even getting people to our own website. I kind of agree with the last person. We have an e-newsletter, and that seems to get people to the website, particularly if we have events posted on it. And we don't use the events part of MassEnergize. Long story there, but we have something totally different. But I'm also finding that there's two issues going on. One is we really need to update a lot of the each of those tabs of what one can do, because ours are outdated. And I know you guys just gave us some new ones, but I haven't had time to sort of look at them and see how we're going to load them. And we've got 15 other things going on. And then I just find we had so much success. So some of you who don't know, I know Karen does and others, that we had this flag thing where if you did 2 activities and you put in 2 testimonials, you got a flag planted at your house that said you were going green, and that was a way to get more people to do it. At least that was our theory, that the more flags that were out there, the more people would want flags. And it worked for a while, and then that sort of died down too. So now we're hosting a couple events, and we're thinking, okay, we can show the website again, we can show, once we fix it, update it, all the actions they can take, and we'll have flags with us at events, and we'll have people give us testimonials standing there and telling us or proving somehow that they're doing something, and we'll just hand them a flag. We'll try to get away from trying to get them to do the testimonials, because I don't think we can do it anymore, because we can't get people to do it. But we feel like those flags are still important, because the more people see them, the more they think about it, at least. Given the current climate, it's very hard to get people to think climate no matter what we do. But I guess for us, it's become our website, more what the person before me said, more the newsletter, which really gets people out. When if we hold events, we make them go to the website to learn more. So we force them to register there, or we force them to kind of move over and get more information. And then we hope when we're on there, they'll go and look at the MassEnergize piece and stuff that's there. But I'd say it's a struggle. And I think we're doing a thing with solar now, and we're advertising it as saving money. We're advertising it as renewable, but we're leading with save on your electricity costs, because we don't think there's any other way to get people to come. And so that's the struggle. And I think we're all struggling with the same thing, and it's not anyone's fault. It's just the climate that we're in, and sort of a pun on words, but the climate. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you, Ellen. Brad.
Yeah, I agree with the difficulty of getting testimonials. And it's the same thing as getting people to sign up with profiles or something with the old site. It's just people don't want to do it. The thing in Concord, I finally got a couple people to work with me on just posting events and doing a newsletter. And it's not that the old site would have been almost as good, but I think the events are working pretty well because it goes out to several hundred people rather than 100 people, and getting good, decent readership. So, and most of these events aren't things we host. They're at the library, but they're sustainability related, or their mother's out front, uh, or they're different educational things just to keep people keep things going. I'm I am pleased, but looking at the other sites that some of the other communities that are customizing the sites, adding a page here or there, uh, that's probably one of the main reasons we switched, is just the ability to customize and make it your website. That maybe you put in some resource pages or a coaching program or something like that on. I'm seeing some of that in other sites happening.
How do we share that, Brad? That's the thing. I mean, it's nice if people have the time and the effort and the expertise to put these pages in, but it'd be nice if we could actually use that from other people.
Good point. For some, we're keeping an eye on what people are doing, and like there's going to be a couple of sites, hopefully in the next few weeks, with a blog page, so that which might
Okay.
be a generally useful thing, bolt-on page that you could add. That could be useful for most of the pages that are added are particular to some community
Okay.
and maybe not of interest, I'd say.
But people have asked for a blog.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Rob, when you say people, is that your residents? Is that what you mean, or
Yeah,
or
we've
others?
had people in town that would like to have a blog and talk about gardening or some particular issue, and then talk to other people that are like-minded. So,
Hmm.
mm,
So, as a way to share other topics of interest, is
right.
that kind of
Instead of
the?
the testimonials, which was the only way that people could put something in,
Hmm.
we don't get too many testimonials, so maybe the blog will work. I'm not sure. We'll see.
Mhm. Yeah. Is anybody else using any other means to kind of share information like that?
I would say I'm going to reiterate the same stuff. I think the website's static. Our newsletter is by far and away our most effective outreach tool. I do look at the open rate. So like if we're at 65, 70%, I feel very good about that. I do think the automatic one about an event coming up is helpful. It means I don't have to always send things out. For us, the website in Wayland is just so that on that homepage, like click here to sign up for a coach. Click here to do that. And if I have a new thing that I want people to do, like we're running a campaign, I just make it there because the newsletter gets lost in people's email boxes. So they might remember to go there. I want to say two other things. We have a sort of decent volunteer group, and maybe I have 10 people that help me, and we meet monthly. And the new guy, I always like the new guy, has good ideas. And he was like, the volume of testimonials is not important, Ellen. Like, you don't need a lot to be good. You just need good ones. So we just so on the call. So we're going to try and feature video testimonials in our newsletter. So on the call, I was like, okay, we're promoting the induction cooktop event, which we are running next on the 19th. It'll get shared. Andy Krasner's a great speaker. We've had her twice before. She's awesome. You should promote it. But just on the call, I said, okay, who's going to do one? Who has induction? So Michael literally took his phone out, walked out of the room, recorded a 45-second testimonial on his phone. He texted to me. I put a link into our newsletter. And I'm going to post it on Facebook. So the other thing that's effective for us, and everybody's community is different. We have two main Facebook groups, the main one for Wayland and a Wayland Moms one. So when I'm promoting the induction event, I'm going to use the moms angle and the asthma risks and the increased asthma risks when you live in a house for kids for cooktops. So I do think tailoring the message and using existing channels, we would never get anybody on a blog for Energize Wayland. People just do not have the time. One thing I do is I see it coming up in the feed, like in Facebook. there's often someone say, hey, I want solar. Does somebody know a good person? And we're always saying, trying to lob in there and say, go to Energize Wayland, get a solar coach, or go to Energize Wayland and look at our page. We've got a whole write-up and vendors we've liked. So there, the website is helpful because I can point them to something. It's not like our website changes that much, but it just gives me a place to put stuff so I can point people to it. So that that's kind of how we've been using it, I would say, and I don't see us doing big changes. So that's kind of where we are at. Florence.
I'd love to know how many people each of you have behind you on your team. Because I'm very surprised to hear that you have, Ellen, 10 people actually working on your group. We are losing people quickly. And love to know how to keep people or get new people. It's down to just what, four, maybe four of us?
Yeah.
Five? Yeah.
I mean, I would say last time we did an in-person thing, I think I had like 22 people at the house. But I monthly probably have somewhere between 6 and 10. But there's some people who can't come to that. But I think we've talked about this before, Florence. I'm not saying I didn't mean that to sound negative, but it's really hard on volunteers. I try to think hard about what is a good task for this person. Like I have 2 people who send out the newsletter. I write the newsletter in a Google Doc. I have 2 people who review it. And then I have 2 people, and depending on their work schedules, one of the 2 can get it out in MailChimp. I don't do that. But that's like once a month, they spend an hour or 2. They're happy to do that. I have other people that just comment when we post stuff on Facebook. That's all they do for me. They're very happy with that. I have other people who are willing to do more. It's staff. I have a guy the guy who did the testimony. Any in-person event, he's my man. He loves to talk to people. I have 2 or 3 people who love in-person events. So it's like trying to figure out what floats their boat. I do think we're not very good at making people feel satisfied and rewarded by it. We could be better. We could be better at that. So I don't know. And we got a new guy, and I can't even remember how we got 2 new guys, and they were like, we never heard of you. We've been looking to do something local. I mean, I've been chair of the Energy Committee for 10 years. It's always amazing that people don't know stuff in town. So I don't. We now have a print newspaper that just started back up in Wayland. So that I know Harvard's always had that. We've been jealous, but now I try to write a monthly column in that and just to get our name out there. And so I don't know. I think people are really busy and people are, disaffected. I think some of our coaches also feel like, at this point we probably have 1 or 2 solar coaches, 1 EV coach, and we probably have 4 heat pump coaches. And I think those people feel, they feel satisfied. They feel when they do a one-on-one conversation, feels good to them. But recruiting them is hard. So it's mostly people who have installed the heat pump and really got into it. That's the person I try to recruit, like someone who got a coaching session before and was super into it, and a good communicator. Then we try to say, hey, we think you'd be good at this. That's all I got, Florence, which is probably not super helpful, but
I'd love to hear from others. How many people are there working with you on whatever projects you're working on?
Yeah, Wendy. Wendy, are you raising your hand? Wendy?
Yes. Okay. I was just trying to unmute me. Well, I am the only one in Energize Newburyport. But I get help from the Energize, the EAC, which is the committee in town, the Energy Advisory Committee. So we also do not have very many people who go to our website, and I think some people were turned off, I think, because they didn't want to create a profile. They didn't want to input their email address, didn't want to go back and record actions. So I'm hoping that the new website will help with that. And it would just be for information. And I do think that it will help with just posting events. But one thing we have in town is a group called Storm Surge. And they're a group of people who just have speakers come in, and it's about every 2 months, and have it at the senior center. And so nobody really has to sign up for anything. I mean, they like people to sign up to go, but they don't have to do anything. But it's so I post a lot of their events on our site, and I think that gets some people interested. But it also is kind of a model that I think could be interesting to do, because they get, I mean, what we were supposed to have like last Thursday night, but it snowed, was this group from the Nature Conservancy, who is looking into talking to people about whether they need to move their houses back from the river or the ocean because of sea level rise or flooding from the river. And so that's a diverse kind of a speaker. Or we'll have people who talk about mussels and building these mussel and clam barriers, to prevent storm surge. And so I don't know, but I still think that having the MassEnergize, the website, and having the connection really helps, because we also had some coaches do some coaching on heat pumps, and I didn't have time to be involved with that, but some other people did. So I still think the connection with MassEnergize really helps us just to know what's going on in the state. And so I wouldn't stop using the website or do it, but I still am the only person doing it.
Thanks.
Yeah, good. Well, so Megan Sullivan, did you have something you wanted to add, or did you take your hand down and not want to say anything right now?
Oh, I was, can you hear me?
Yes.
First, I will say, to answer the question, I probably have 6 to 8 people, I think, that I work with on a regular basis, just to answer that question. And then the second thing I wanted to say was to Rob's point about a blog. And Rob, would a private Facebook group be helpful to you? And when you're thinking of blog, is it for you to post something, or is it also a public comment place?
Public comments, I thought. Yeah, maybe Facebook is a kind of a blogging thing, right? Yeah.
It could be.
Could be.
Just a thought.
Okay. So Marissa, you were gonna share something.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to similarly answer the question, is that we have like 2 to 3-ish people doing things more consistently for the website. And then like occasionally at our like monthly / twice a month meetings, we maybe get like up to 5, maybe sometimes 7 on a really good meeting, of like other participants who are there to, give feedback, or like it kind of depends on the topics for what we're covering that meeting. But in terms of like the sort of general website maintenance, it, kind of tends to be like 2 to 3 of us.
Okay. Karen, you're muted.
I wanted to speak to Wendy's point about doing the event on sea level rise and mussel or oyster farming. I mean, one thing that I've wondered about is, I mean, this is a strategy question. It seems as though with the loss of incentives, the clean energy side of things is a little bit of a tougher sell. I mean, should we be focusing more on nature-based solutions, the natural world? Like sometimes when I'm talking with people now about climate, I just feel like this exhaustion. Like, I'm too busy doing something on fighting fascism. I'm going to put climate to the side. But if you talk to them about the Trump administration's attack on the national parks or public lands, or the danger to conservation areas, then people start to like, yeah, let's do something. So I don't know. It's just a question, like strategy wise. Do we
Mhm.
shift for a little bit? And then there's also sort of the solace angle of talking about the natural world. Um, I mean, the natural world for me is the whole reason for doing clean energy, but
Mhm.
to me, it's like hard to separate them. But strategy wise, I just wonder if maybe it's a way to go. And also, I think we should have the 1-2 people club where like if one person's doing all of the event organizing, we should have a party and all get together.
Good, 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 good. Yeah, well, I am quite interested to hear thoughts on Karen's question about, how do we meet this, or, how do we motivate people in light of the assault that I think we're all feeling. And what motivates you? What are you hearing? What is getting people excited in this time when, the incentives are gone and a lot of the things, a lot of the motivators have been, have been demotivated. And so I'm just wondering other people's thoughts on what are you finding motivates either you or members of your community?
Well, Florence, you can tell what our daughter is active with right now in our town. That's what's seemingly right now people are doing a lot of protesting about the ice immigration things. It's a big thing. People, they used to think about climate change and supporting. They now actively every Sunday they come and protest and put up their signs and that's it.
Do you want, Florence, you going to say anything more to that?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's
well,
important too,
yeah.
but it doesn't help us put together stuff or have programs the way we like. And I'm getting tired and I'm getting old. And so I feel that I'm hoping that there are more young people, younger people who want to take this on. But I have to
Mhm.
tell you that Nina is here, and Nina is the person who puts together our newsletter. And thank you, Nina. She's done a beautiful job from the very beginning and had never done this before. Um, so there's our hope.
Nina, before we go on, Nina, do you want to say anything? Add some thoughts of your own on how you're thinking about the articles in the newsletter and or these topics?
I share what I would love to see is somehow to get back what we had on the old website, which was the automatic link to events. That's been key to getting a good newsletter when we can promote events that we otherwise won't have heard about. And then those nudges were fantastic. So people can read just a little bit. They don't have to read every single newsletter. They don't open always the newsletter. We get it. I was really surprised to see, I think it was Wayland. I'm taking notes here. Like you have a 65, 70% open rate. We don't have that big a rate. We have a very big, we have about almost 500 people to whom we send the newsletter. Our opening rate is around 30%. I corrected somehow for Google, which does something with the email, so I'm not sure really what's open. I'm still trying to figure that out. It might be better than 30%, but mostly how do we get visibility without having to pick through every single town's website, the events, which is what we used to have automatically linked from
Mm,
MassEnergize.
yeah, yeah.
Do you have an answer?
Well, Brad, do you want to respond to that?
I'm actually not quite sure what Nina is referring to, the automatic.
I think
linking.
she's saying, like, if an event was in another community, you get an email saying, here are the other
Right.
events. Do you want to share them? And it was a pretty easy
Okay.
click. That's
Right.
no longer
So
available.
that will be available in about, I was told by the engineering team, about 2 weeks' time.
Oh,
So they had to work that out. It's in test. And we may, there might be some back and forth with the engineers to make it right. But that was kind of the first, next update. Um, so that will, come with the email to Cadmans, and it'll be as simple as before. It says, like, I'm interested in this. Check it out on the page. Okay, we'll share that. So a couple of clicks to share.
That'd be great. I also want to give full credit to both Florence and Rob and one of our fourth really active member, Kevin, who gives us wonderful articles. He's very interested in a lot of different things. So he'll give me whole articles that he's written, and then I just edit them down a bit, put some graphics in, and so that's how we're managing. It's kind of encouraging to hear that we're not all that much worse off than other people. I thought we were. I thought we were,
I like your newsletter. I get it,
Oh,
but I
thank
don't
you.
know. I don't open it every time.
Well,
Okay,
luckily Kevin's still going strong, and Florence and Rob have really good inputs. I'm more like the editor than the creator, only rarely.
okay, Ellen in Harvard.
I was just going to say, just try to engage your youth as much as you can, because I think those are the ones who get people out, or at least get their parents out because they're involved in something. Or we're doing the Youth Climate Challenge with MassEnergize, and I feel like I advertised it at the awards night at our science fair, and I'm trying to, get the kids to get extra credit, and then their parents will come, something that gets the parents out, because those are I feel the hardest to reach. And so I'm a mentor to the green team at the middle high school, and I just think if there's a way you can get involved with the kids in some way, if they have those kind of committees, is one way to get messages out. It's not the best, but I think it does help, and I think people just respond more. I learned recently, a few projects I was working on, that I take the kids along to other committees and let them do the presentation rather than me, because I get beat up, but they don't. So, things go smoother, things go faster, because they don't want to, land on the kids and give them a hard time, what they'll do with adults. So just a thought.
It's a great thought. Florence and I, when we first started, met with the high school in Ashland to engage I forgot the title. There was a club for climate that didn't really work that well. I don't know quite how to engage them. It sounds like, where did you go? My screen keeps shifting around, so
I'm here.
still trying to find you. There you are. Thank you. So yeah, you have the connection already with middle school, which is fantastic.
Well, we have a middle high school, so the kids on the green team can be grade 6 through 12, and younger kids come each year, and the kids have done a climate curriculum that they bring to the elementary school. So the kids hear about it in elementary school. When they get over to the middle school at 6th grade, they join. It's not a big group, 12 to 15, but they like working with the community. We've put them on some of our committees as, student reps, gives them college something, whatever, anything that gets them there. And that actually helps too. So I'm just finding that's my best approach lately, is to just use them as much as possible.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Ellen. Yeah, Brad.
I wanted to mention something that is an event we're planning, an Earth Day commemoration, and I wanted to mention it because I'd like to involve people from other nearby communities. I just woke up yesterday really sad that we weren't doing something for Earth Day, given all the heavy stuff that has happened. And so we're going to do a walk to Thoreau's cabin at Walden Pond from Concord Center. And I've reached out to somebody from Lincoln to see if they could maybe work the other direction. And I would love to involve people in nearby communities to join up and have some music, some, not a lot of talking, but a couple of motivating speakers, something really similar to organize. And we're starting to plan that now, but I want to plant that seed. I want someone from Acton. I want people from Acton there, you in particular. And
Yeah, that's
I'll
nice, Brad. That's a
share
nice
more
idea.
about it.
I like it. I like it.
What's your date and time?
The date will be April 26th,
Oh,
Sunday afternoon. So it's not on Earth Day because Earth Day is like right in the middle of school vacation week, and it's right after Patriots Day. So it's going to be the following Sunday, 2:00. Get to Walden Pond around 3 and hang out, have some fun with like-minded people.
that's what we're tabling at the Earth Day event in Ashland.
Okay.
Okay.
But by the way, I have another thing. This morning we had a plug-in meeting, and we had a presentation by somebody from Wayland, I think, on a new form for solar coaches, and try to organize all the forms for and the whole process for coaching. And Ellen had definitely had some comments on this whole thing, and I think for some of the smaller organizations that I think that this might be interested. And I also like this idea that if we could somehow between the communities share coaches. I know that the big company, what's the name? Forget the name that organizes coaching. They will not support us in Ashland. So we need coaches, and we need to be able to advertise in Ashland, and through some programs and through some forms and through our website that we have this capability. And I'd be interested in that kind of process. So I do understand that if plugin goes away, we don't want to put it part of plugin. And I don't know, I hope we're going to continue with Energize Ashland. Maybe we have to do it to the town, but I think it's a subject that should interest other people in the MassEnergize community.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, we're getting low on almost out of time, but I would love, Brad brought up Earth Day, and it sounds like others of you have other ideas going for Earth Day. Maybe just a quick, as we kind of wrap up this meeting, a quick go round in terms of what do you have in mind for Earth Day? Are you planning anything creative, unique, other ideas that might spark somebody else's ideas for Earth Day? I love the walk to I love the walk to Walden Pond. That to me is really very motivating.
Yeah, good people to involve in that would be John Mitchell of Littleton, formerly Mass Audubon. He wrote the book Walking to Walden, and he's up there with Thoreau for trespassing. In fact, he has a book called Trespassing too. And of course, Peter Alden of Concord, who works at the park or the Friends of, he would be a good person too, and he enjoys doing things of that nature.
Okay, I might reach out to you about that.
At one point, I was director of natural resources in Concord until the town manager wanted to violate wetland laws. I didn't allow him to do that.
Wow.
Good for you, Don.
we should talk.
Yeah.
Okay, other Earth Day ideas or plans?
I'll just say, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Ellen.
I'll just say we tried for years, and it was school vacation week. It's always Earth Day. The weather has rained most of the time, so we're now doing Sunday in September with the third act folks because we decided it was just better weather and kids were more around and families instead of fighting the vacation week and everything else. So we are doing Earth Day in May, though. That's our new thing. We do it in May when the weather's better and just have a few open houses.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good idea.
more Earth Month, and actually it's a little bit political because we're trying to influence a warrant at town meeting, but without appearing political, so that our town hall is trying to get approval for air source heat pumps as the new HVAC system, and our finance committee is totally against it. So we're kind of gonna try to play up heat pumps, and also ground source heat pumps, like the success of schools, all these net zero schools that are happening, and so doing sort of a heat pump theme in April. So hopefully the town will be a little bit favorable when it comes to town meeting at the beginning of May.
Mhm.
So Ashland is organizing, or the sustainability manager, she's organizing Earth Day in Ashland on the 26th, and we have been thinking about putting together some kind of a event in our community center on plastics. That's and plastic and health impact and stuff like that. We haven't gotten a date set yet. We try to work it with some neighboring towns so we get enough people to show up.
Hey, Rob, Chelmsford's doing something on plastics on March 22nd. I think it's Sunday at their town library. I'll see if I can find the flyer for you before we
Okay.
leave.
Okay, we can look it up. Yeah, sure. Thanks.
We were going to follow what Concord did. I think it was Concord some time ago, and showed the Plastic People film. But people have said it's too long.
Needham had
Oh, it was Needham.
Right.
But that's where I first met Concord people tabling.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's what it was.
Yeah, Wendy.
So we're not doing anything really for Earth Day, but along with Storm Surge, we're co-sponsoring a film to be screened at our local little tiny movie theater. So we're showing how to power a city. Have you heard of that?
Oh.
So it was, I'm not sure when it was created. It's probably within the last 5 years, but it's the producer did a documentary basically on following six communities from Puerto Rico to Vermont to Las Vegas to Detroit to the Bronx, and they're like vignettes of what people have done to try to have solar or some sort of renewable energy. And some of it was based on really sad issues. Like I think Puerto Rico had a terrible hurricane and they just had no electricity. And so a group formed to somehow get solar. So it follows how they got solar panels and started powering part of Puerto Rico. And then there's also Las Vegas. The mayor of Las Vegas there they power like most of their city with renewable energy. I mean, they have giant solar farms. And so that's interesting to follow. I mean, each one is very different, but I think you can actually see this on, I don't even know if it's Netflix or something.
No, it looks like PBS. I'm just
okay, yeah.
PBS. It's maybe some.
And there's a couple links in the chat if people are interested. In the chat, the website is Power City Film, with links in the chat that you can click on. Yeah, Wendy, I don't know, but it looks like a very interesting film.
So I'm gonna put it in the events, so it could be shared. But I guess with the new website, it won't be, or I don't know.
It would be cool. I'll come to your website and copy it from you.
Okay.
Is Bad Bunny gonna sing?
That would be nice. That would draw a lot of people. Maybe that's what we should do.
Yeah.
It'll cost more than the film, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
We don't have any necessarily Earth Day plans yet. I think the problem we've often run into is that Franklin, the town does do stuff, but they oftentimes seem like they wait to announce it until like earlier in the month of, or like
Few
even just
days
like a
before.
yeah, like, it just like it's truly very frustrating to be like, well, we can't even like promote something that we know that they usually do it, but we don't know for sure that it's happening until, kind of like not that far in advance. So we had sort of also thrown around an idea of usually when we meet as a group a couple times a month, we meet in the library for Franklin, and we had also sort of tossed around an idea of maybe having like a table in the library. We'd have to like talk with librarians, but maybe having like a table on that Saturday, or one of the Saturdays in that month to kind of promote the new website and, maybe also as an extension of Earth Day, but we hadn't really figured out, I guess, what that looks like yet. But we're probably going to want to do that quickly, I guess, if we want to, say that we'll be there and get permission, I'm sure. Even if it's just at like a table in the hallway, I'm sure I need to get permission from somebody.
Hmm. Okay, any other Earth Day events that you want to share?
I can share two quick things. One is we're gonna go do again.
Oh, Megan, I think you froze.
Hmm.
Okay, that's too bad. Um, give Megan a chance to come back. Anybody else? Okay.
Medfield Climate Week, which is 10 days worth of events around town, pretty decentralized, no?
Mhm. Yeah, Megan, you're freezing again, unfortunately. Well, okay. Oops.
How about that? Can you hear me
Okay,
now?
yeah, let's try one more time, Megan.
Okay, one more time. Medfield's going to have its annual, third or fourth annual Climate Week, which is a set of decentralized events around town. Whoever wants to hold something just says, all right, Tuesday afternoon, come see my solar shingles, from 4 to 6, something like that. So I can't say we've had great turnouts at them, but the people who do them love it and are all willing to do it again. That was one thing. And then also Boston is having Climate Week, basically the same time. And they are doing, I think they must have copied us, don't you think, on the Medfield? They're doing the same thing where
Yes.
it's very decentralized. You can do whatever and populate their calendar. So if any community was having a big event, I think they
Oh, we lost Megan
would
again, but yes.
populate it with an event in Concord, if generally they're, Metro Boston.
Good, good, good. Okay, well, we are now out of time, but thank you everybody I think I'm looking around the room and I think everybody got a chance to speak. So that's really nice. We are not going to be having next community of practice would be, just right around the time of our MassEnergize conference. So let's just say the next community of practice will in practice be at the conference where we'll get to see everybody face to face and have a lot more people joining us. If you haven't registered, please do. If you haven't told your friends and colleagues or anybody else you're working with, please do. We still have spots open, but in the past 2 years we have filled up before the event actually took place. So we'd really love your help getting the word out. If you'd be willing to put it, in your newsletter, on your website, in your Facebook, in your social media, we really would love help because we really want to make this as inclusive as possible, the MassEnergize conference. So once again, that's on April 8th. It's a Wednesday. And then the next community of practice meeting will not be until, I think it's May 9th. Is that right, Joe?
May
It's
the 11th.
Oh, excuse me, May the 11th. Okay, so it's that second Monday in May, but there will not be a community of practice meeting in April. So With that, I just want to say thank you to everybody who came tonight. Thank you everybody who shared. It really is nice to kind of get to hear from everybody. So appreciate your bringing topics, questions, and being willing to engage in conversation.